Two thin coats. 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 Two thin coats.
Please, Duncan, I look for you for guidance, so that my miniature painting will be blessed. I do my best to follow the doctrine of two thin coats every day, for one coat is not enough, and three is too many. So please, Duncan, please bless my miniature painting so that I may get better. I look to you, Duncan, for guidance.
Two thin coats.
Welcome to TableTopReady. My name's Michael, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing Duncan Rhode's Two Thin Coats. If you don't know who Duncan Rhodes is, let me tell you. Duncan Rhodes was Games Workshop's first painting tutorial presenter back in 2014. He presented the OG Orc Skin tutorial, which was the first tutorial I remember seeing Duncan in. Duncan continued as a presenter for Warhammer TV until late 2019, early 2020, when he left to pursue his own miniature painting channel, Duncan Rhode's Painting Academy. Which brings us to today and his recent release of his very own paint range, Two Thin Coats, which was successfully funded on Kickstarter. There's 60 colours in the range, including 6 washes and 6 metallics. So I was kindly sent some of the Two Thin Coats paints to try out, and that's what I'll be doing in this video and letting you know what they're like. I'm not going to be doing any comparisons to any existing paint range. The focus is just going to be on how they perform and the quality of them. If you're new to the channel, I make my own painting tutorials that are made for anyone wanting to start painting miniatures or even just looking to get better. I would love for you to go and check out some of my tutorials and let me know in the comments what you think, and I always try and respond to everyone. So let's see what these paints are like. The first thing I want to do is simply see how they paint and what the consistency between the colours is like. So I made some little swatches that have both a white and black primer on them. All the paints have been thinned down with an equal amount of water, which is how I would use any other water-based acrylic, and what I would think is the preferred way to use these paints as well. Let's first just get a single coat down and see what that's like. So here are all the first layers for each paint, and there really isn't much difference between the consistency of the paints, which is really good as it's something you usually would get and have to get used to. The coverage is also what you expect from a premium range of paints. Strong, bold, saturated colours, even over the black primer. Although the yellow and white struggled, but that's to be expected. I went ahead and applied a second coat next for each colour once the first coat was dry. Again, really great coverage, especially with two thin coats. The paint's dried to a true matte finish, which is also consistent across all the paints I've used here. It may seem obvious, but when you paint in miniatures, you want paint that is effortless to use and behaves exactly how you want it to. From how it applies to miniatures, how it behaves when it's thinned down, and what it looks like when it's dried. Something I was really impressed with was these two metallic paints. I received both the gold and silver, which are pretty standard metallic colours you would want in a paint range. Again, I thin these in the same way I thin the acrylics, just as I would normally. Both the gold and silver went down on the white and black primer with no issue, which is what you would want from these metallic colours, as you probably would want to use these on most of your miniatures, regardless of what colour primer you used. I'm the kind of miniature painting that doesn't put too much emphasis on the product that I'm using, as long as it does the job. But the way these metallic paints behaved and painted really made me think differently. As well as the metallic paints, I also received a wash to try out. I first just applied this straight over a primer, because I wanted to see how it flowed and what it dried like. The wash was easy to apply and it seemed to behave and find its way into all the places you would want it to. There wasn't any what I would call bold spots where the wash didn't stick to the surface, and there was a good range of contrast between the flatter areas and and recessed detail, which is what you want from a wash. I also applied this over the silver and an orc head which I had painted using the Two Thin Coats paints. The wash dries with a matte finish with no sheen to it at all, regardless of what colour you're using it over. So I do only have access to a small part of the range, so I'm just trying to get an overall sort of idea and feel for the different types of paints, rather than thinking about each individual colour. The Two Thin Coats paint range is designed with a style we're all probably very used to by now, and to help you choose the right paint for what you need, each colour is assigned a key letting you know whether it's a shadow, mid-tone, highlight or a wash, making your choice so much easier. There is an effect type of paint which doesn't seem to exist at the moment, but I assume is something in the works for the future. There is also this handy reference chart available that shows you what paints there are, the colour match to the existing colours and other paint ranges, and what shadow, midtones and highlights are intended to be used together, so they've really thought of everything. The paints come in 15ml dropper bottles, which have a little widget inside to help mix the paint better when shaken, which I thought was a nice little touch. The paints didn't take too long to dry either, so you'll be ready for another thin coat in minutes. The last thing I wanted to do was to just sit down and paint a miniature with them. Nothing fancy, just some base coats on a Space Marine, just to get a feel of using them in a general scenario. I used the Marine Blue, Surcoat Silver, Dragon's Gold, Doom Death Black and Cuirass Leather. These paints are highly pigmented and they do need to be thinned down, otherwise you're going to see really thick layers that are going to ruin any details on your miniature. Otherwise they go down really nicely and they paint over each other really easily, which is great if you need to neaten up after making any mistakes. I had quite high expectations for the Two Thin Coats paint range, especially because they're what I would consider a premium product. But so far they've not disappointed and they've managed to meet all my expectations quite easily. And when you're using them, you can tell they've been designed by miniature painters for miniature painters, and a lot of care and attention has gone into them. So if you're interested in investing in a new range of paints, or just wanting to add to paints you already have, you won't be disappointed. The current range of 60 paints is making its way into hobby stores, and it's also available online. I believe they're also working on a second wave of paint, so I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you so much for joining me in trying out these paints, and I really want to know what you think in the comments below. Did I do good, Duncan? Was that okay? Can I leave now? If you enjoyed my video, then please leave a like and let me know in the comments below. And I want to say a huge thank you to my current supporters of the channel. It really means a lot to me and it really helped get this video made. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content, and I'll see you in the next video.